Every accusation from a Republican is an admission of the truth about them. And a perfect example of that was seen today in a congressional hearing in which Democrats were shredding the Republican plan to steal health care away from millions of Americans with their cuts to Medicaid, in which Dan Crenshaw accused Democrats of lying about what was happening. Really, Dan? And as you can expect, he was ripped to shreds for that and didn't like it too much. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into Dan Crenshaw and later an interview with Congressman Greg Landsman, who was there calling out all these MAGA lies today, I want to hear from AOC, who gave us the context on just how terrible these Medicaid cuts are.
13.7 million Americans will be cut off from their health care and made completely uninsurable by the bill that Republicans are presenting today. You know, there's a lot that I've been hearing, and I've been listening to my Republican counterparts here today and what they've been saying about this bill. And the math is not adding up. They're trying to convince people that they are cutting millions of undocumented people from payroll, from Medicare, acting as though this is what's going to save it. Even if you believe everything that Republicans have said today, they are identifying 1 million, their claim, which I dispute, but if you believe them, their claim is that 1 million undocumented people are on Medicaid. So why are they trying to cut 13.7 million Americans off their health care? By the Republicans' own Energy and Commerce tweet this morning, their claim is 7.6 million people are somehow ineligible for health care. So why are they cutting 13.7 million Americans off their health care? They've asked us to read this bill, and we have. This bill bans the people that they kick off of Medicaid from even buying their own insurance from the Affordable Care Act exchange. So once you are kicked off Medicaid, you then can't even buy your own health insurance. It increases costs for people who they deem eligible and who are low income and forces them to pay even more. And if you have a private insurer, don't worry, you're getting screwed over too, because your healthcare premiums are going to skyrocket from the disaster that is happening from this bill. We've done assessments, because if you live in a rural community, you're gonna be hurt too. In New York 23, 25% of people are on Medicaid in this area of upstate New York. Westfield Memorial Hospital will be at risk of closure. UPMC Chautauqua is at risk of closure. Schuyler Hospital at risk of closure. California 23, where 46% of people are on Medicaid. Redlands Community Hospital at risk of closure if this passes. Victor Valley Global Medical Center, Loma Linda University Medical Center, all at risk of closure. Colorado 8, 24% of people in this community are on Medicaid, and Platte Valley Medical Center will be at risk of closure if these cuts pass. Who do you believe? The people who are trying to cut this, not, by the way, to cut from quote-unquote undeserving people to give to deserving people, but they are cutting these Medicaid care and these Medicaid dollars to pay for tax cuts for Elon Musk and billionaires. So this money isn't even going towards funding better care for people who are eligible. This money is going, and we are cutting money and healthcare from people and families who are suffering to pay for tax cuts for the rich. It is a crime happening in front of the American public right now. And I yield back.
Not only is this a tremendous political miscalculation by Republicans, this is a move that is morally bankrupt. People need their health care to survive. They are not only not capable physically of working to get it, but in Donald Trump's America, when we are on the brink of a recession, when corporations are hoarding cash, I don't think there are enough jobs out there to get if you need to secure healthcare. And forget about paying for it. We live in a broken system where healthcare, even at the most basic level, is completely unaffordable. And now Republicans want to make that worse It is disgusting. And even more so that they would pretend that that is not the case, which is what Dan Crenshaw was doing and got called out for right here.
No, you don't, because I'm sorry. I am sorry that, here's my apology to you. I am sorry that people lied to you. I am sorry that so many people in the media and on the left have lied to you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. You are going to hear a lot about lies. Let me tell you who the biggest liar of them all is. That is Donald Trump. Yes. Donald Trump promised he wouldn't touch Medicaid. That was a lie. My Republican colleagues, my MAGA colleagues, swore up and down that they wouldn't touch Medicaid. It was a lie.
Objection.
Now, hold on a second, Mr. Chairman. Everybody over here has been hollering about lying, and now all of a sudden they're objecting.
All right, gentlemen.
Come on now. Come on now.
The objection is a reference to the President of the United States
now.
in relationship to lying, which is in violation of the rules.
They've been hollering about lying the whole time, and now I get into my spiel, and then they want to make an objection about it?
Mr. Chairman, lying generally is acceptable. Lying specifically is not.
Come on now. Come on now.
All right, the gentleman will suspend. All we're saying is members of Congress, members of the Senate, and the President are in our speech and our debate is protected from insult. So we should not use the word lying and so forth moving forward. I get it. I've heard it said before.
You guys have been saying it the whole hearing. You guys have been saying the word lying the whole hearing. Excuse me,
not
this
generally,
is ridiculous.
Your
Mr.
point's
Chairman.
clear. Let's
Mr.
just
Chairman?
not use the word lying as we talk
Mr. Chairman?
to each other. I'm just saying in general. I'm
Mr.
my friend
Chairman?
from California.
Point of order.
Just
Point of order.
gentleman's recognized for a point of order.
I have a question for you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
In your opening remarks, you talked about Joe Biden.
That's right.
So can you explain to me the difference there?
Okay. I talked about the Biden-Harris policies. I didn't say Biden-Harris lied to the American people. I didn't say that. I didn't say anything like that. So
Your members have called us liars in the last 15 minutes.
I've asked everybody to suspend on the word line. We will go forward, and so Mr. Vesey, you're recognized to continue, unless my friend, you're recognized to continue. But let's try not to use the. You're right. I admit the word line has been used. It's been brought now as a point of order has been made on that. So let's all suspend using the word line for each other. So Mr. Vesey, you're recognized.
Dan Crenshaw is just such a spineless little bless. Just gross. To accuse Democrats of lying about the thing that you are actively doing, I don't even want to give it the time of responding to it, because it is just so sad. He is such a small little man that I cannot stand, who has no regard for the people he is actually supposed to be serving, because all that he cares about is himself. While we have Democrats fighting, doing the real work of protecting people's lives. And that is exactly what I talked to Congressman Greg Landsman about. And I hope you stick around for the whole interview, because the end will give you some hope we desperately need right now. Congressman, you have been in a hearing for a couple of hours now, and still I don't know if we've come up with the answer that's at the heart of it, which is, why are your Republican colleagues okay with stripping millions of Americans, just stealing away their health care?
Because they are committed to tax cuts for the super wealthy. So this is really simple. Sadly, the majority of us want tax relief for working people, for the middle class, for small businesses, farmers, you name it. Where we disagree is tax cuts for the top wage earners, the billionaires, the corporate investors, the folks at the top who have so much money. And they want to make sure that they get all the tax cuts they have committed to them. And that costs them money. And the only way they believe they can get it is by running up a big deficit, $2 trillion, and cutting people's health care and food assistance. So they're taking $700-800 billion in health care away from people to pay for tax cuts for the super wealthy.
Yeah, and they're somehow pretending that they're not doing that. I know this is a party of people who want to ban books and don't particularly love higher education, but you're seeing, Dan Crenshaw today say that it's a lie. Democrats are somehow lying about what's clearly outlined in their bill, and AOC went even a step further in addressing the claim that this is somehow a lie, pointing out just how many members constituents in the districts of those Republicans will lose their health care. What do you say to this idea that it's somehow a fabrication by Democrats, that this plan from Republicans will have real impacts in people's lives?
They either don't understand what they're voting on, or they're being dishonest themselves, because they heard their own chair, Brett Guthrie, say we are going to essentially right size Medicaid in their mind. They want to make sure that healthcare is there for, quote unquote, the people who need it, meaning that there's a bunch of people who get Medicaid right now who don't need it. That's what they're saying. And Speaker Johnson last week said, "Oh, no, we want to make sure that it's only for people who have real disabilities." So they are distinguishing between people who deserve healthcare and need healthcare and people who don't. The problem is everyone needs healthcare, and these folks cannot get healthcare anywhere else. They can only get it through a subsidy and the marketplace, and they're taking that away from 5 million Americans, or they get it from Medicaid. They can't get it through a private insurer. So they are taking away healthcare from millions of people just because they don't believe they deserve it.
Yeah, this is the Republican Party. Huge tax cuts for billionaires. Donald Trump is getting himself a $400 million plane. I know in large part the purpose of this hearing is to just bring attention to something that the mainstream media kind of refuses to cover. But do you see any, whether through the action of this hearing, the work that you and your colleagues in the Democratic Party are doing, do you see any movement from those on the Republican side? Are they kind of like slowly, anyone moving towards like realizing they shouldn't be stripping healthcare away from their constituents, knowing that when they get home, the boos that we've seen ring across town halls will be on them again?
Yeah, I mean, Republican Josh Hawley in the Senate has said, I think either today or yesterday, do not do this. This is morally reprehensible, politically absurd. You're going to lose. Do not take healthcare away from anyone, let alone millions and millions of your own constituents. These are people who, but for the healthcare they get, may die. And it's not hyperbole when we say people are going to die. You ask any doctor, they'll say when you take healthcare away from people, some will die. And when you're talking about millions and millions of people losing their healthcare, you're talking about people who are going to die all over the country. And obviously, that is morally reprehensible. It's also politically, I think, going to be politically devastating. The fact is, as I said, the question is really simple. Like, do you pay for tax cuts for the super wealthy, or do you cut people's health care? I mean, and I believe that if it weren't for Donald Trump and congressional Republican leadership, there would be a bipartisan majority of us that would pass this tax relief for everybody who needs it, paid for by Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. The minimum, the billionaire minimum tax is, $500 billion in new revenue. If you take the corporate tax back from 21 to 25%, not even 30, 5 or whatever it was before 32, that's 1.23 trillion. If you take the top wage earners, the top 1%, and you take them from 37 back to 39, this is what it was, 5 years ago. That's 250 billion. That's over $2 trillion right there, just by asking or requiring the folks at the top, billionaires and big corporations, to pay more of their taxes. That's it. You could expand healthcare, not take it away.
Yeah. And they seem completely unwilling to do so. They just don't care. And in part, for me, it seems like it is a purposeful political calculation to make people feel this pain. I always come back to this Russ Vought quote of, "I want federal workers to feel traumatized when they come into the office." And that's kind of been how Donald Trump wants everyone to feel about government. As Republicans are attacking these core tenets of our government that, like you said, keep people alive. This is life and death. This is not, renaming bodies of water. This is not, some idiotic executive order from Donald Trump. It's life and death. How do we show people still government can work in a time in which Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Republicans in the House want people to think that it doesn't so they can break it more?
I think we showed that by winning this fight, by people making sure that their voices are heard. I mean, this place is packed with folks who are on Medicaid, who get a subsidy through the ACA, who have health care, but for only because of investments that this government has made in them, our workers, our middle class families, our children. And all over the country, people are calling. And if they back away from this, which they might, I mean, they've got 20 or 30 members over here in the House side and several members, Josh Hawley included, on the Senate, who are like, this is absurd. Do not do this. And if we can get them to back off and protect everyone's health care, that will demonstrate to people that, hey, wait, our democracy has a heartbeat. And, this is, to me, one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight that we'll have in this Congress. And as I said this morning, like, I'm going in there fighting for people's lives because people's lives are on the line. Like, people will live if they can keep their health care. Some may die if they lose their health care. That's what this fight is.
Yeah. And as much as I appreciate you bringing me a little bit of hope, I'm going to let you get back to that fight because we need you out there. Congressman, as always, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you.